All right, everybody, this is Jed Wonderly with the Utah Sports Report, and we are back for another incredible episode with the all-time great Ute, Kenneth Scott. Happy to have him back on the show. Appreciate his time and his thoughts. And Kenneth, thank you for coming on again. Appreciate you.
Oh, man, no problem at all, man. Thank you so much for allowing me to be able to talk some football with you. It's going to be a pleasure.
Yeah. Kenneth is down in freezing cold Houston, and and to that I say, why don't you just move back to Utah?
Man, I don't know, because man, it's only about a week that I have to really get rid of this cold. So I don't know if I can do it for a whole season again. But
I think you can. Come on back.
It may be in the talks. I love the snow. Snow is fun, especially for kids. So
yeah,
you never know.
There you go. Because at least with snow, you have something fun to do in the cold.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, so sleigh riding, skiing, snowboarding, all that kind of stuff. Snowball fights. Oh man, see, look at 5 activities
exactly.
I just named right off the top of my head. So
all those activities.
Yes. So, all righty, we are going to be back with lots of great commentary and thoughts on the upcoming bowl game, the Rose Bowl against Penn State. First time ever that we've played them. We're also going to talk to Kenneth, get his thoughts on bowl prep, on how it was playing in a bowl in terms of the mindset, if it was different from regular season games and stuff like that. And we're going to be back right after this.
Receivers stacked to the left, and now Bernard motions back in. Rising, wheel route, end zone, throw, fingertip catch, touchdown! Micah Bernard playing both ways. And guys with 40 or more in a year.
He could just work on that accuracy a little bit.
Didn't run enough, does he? Look at Covey weaving his way. Look out, Britton Covey accelerates. Can they run him down? No, they can't. Britton Covey, yet another outcome as a returner. They're going to run a play. Rising with some confusion, just keeps it. And there, he still got it. Rising breaks free and goes all the way to the end zone. Wow!
All righty, we are back with Kenneth Scott, Batman. Hey, Kenneth, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about, you've been through a full season, probably everybody's a little bit banged up, nicked up, whatever. You're probably tired between, taking finals and, all the work that goes into a season. And now you've got a few more weeks of bowl prep, maybe a little bit more if you're going to a better bowl and it's a little later in the bowl season and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about, your mindset. You went to 4 bowls, you said, in your career, and, remind us what those bowls were, and give us your thoughts on the bowl prep and the actual, the game itself, where you're playing an opponent that you don't play necessarily on a regular basis and stuff like that.
Yeah, so for me, throughout the career, I went to 4 bowls, like you mentioned. I think the first bowl game I went to was the Mako Bowl when we played against Boise State down in Las Vegas. That year, I was injured. I was recovering from my freshman year, and we got beat. That was the first time I think Coach Witt lost in a bowl game in his team, I believe it was. We got beat pretty bad. It was Kellen Moore, Titus Young. Kellen Moore, Titus Young, I forgot what the Austin Pettis, Ajayi. They had some really good players on their offense. It was a dynamic offense, and we lost. Then we went to the El Paso Bowl, where it was a great game against Georgia Tech. It went all the way down to the wire, and Wolfman himself, he won the game for us. Then the last 2 were in Las Vegas. Against Colorado State, where we blew them out, which was a fun game. And then the last one, the grand finale, was against our rivals down south, BYU, which was a crazy game. at the end, because we were blowing them out in the beginning, and all of a sudden they just start coming back. We're like, whoa, 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 what's going on here? And so, that was a cool game. But as far as bowl prep goes, during our time, it was a little lighter in regards to like the physical aspect of practice. It's towards the end of the year. A lot of guys are nicked up, banged up. So it's a little lighter practice, but it's more meaningful practices, I could say, because as for seniors, that's when they start to realize like, oh man, this is it, and so practices, towards the end as they start whittling down begin to be a little bit emotional for the players, because like, man, this is the last time, it's the last ride. And so practice wise, we're still going at it, but it's not as impacting as what it would be in a regular season. And then off the field items, we did a lot of stuff team camaraderie wise, not only with our team, but with the other team as far as activities. The most notable ones are the ones that you see with us versus BYU, and we're trash talking them while we're on stage. And that city, was talking to them on stage. Those are the most notable ones. But those are fun events, and activities that we've done. I know my redshirt freshman year, we played against Georgia Tech. I went on stage and we did a freestyle battle, and it's on YouTube, and I killed him. So it's fun. We do a lot of activities in the bowl prep, which makes the whole event eventful. So good times.
Cool stuff. So speaking of bowls, we are playing in our second straight Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some fans who, after last year's Rose Bowl, they'll be like, wow, well, at least that was a once in a lifetime event, or
right,
we'll ever make it back there. And here we are 2 years in a row in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose
Bowl. It.
And what a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think we showed up very respectably last year, and then we didn't look like we didn't belong.
Right.
It was a heck of a game, very exciting. And this year we're favored.
Mm-hmm.
Going up against a team that we've never played against.
Never.
In the history of our program, Penn State. Give me your thoughts, just right off the top of your head. Are we going to win?
I feel like we are. I feel like we're winning. I've always said it, amongst in the public that, we're actually, to be honest with you, instead of USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten, I think we're more suited for the Big Ten. I think our style of play is Big Ten-like or SEC-esque, like, because you got a dominant defense, a great running offense. Now we're starting to implement our tight ends much more, but they have some great tight ends, and a lot of, the Big Ten teams, they, before they wasn't utilizing the receivers a lot, but I feel like, we fit the mold of a Big Ten team, and I feel like we're going to do fairly well. We're like a Michigan to them, and so I'm hoping the same result will be how Michigan beat them this year.
41-17, by the way.
Yeah, so
I think that was
I'm hoping. Yes. So I'm hoping, but they're a tough team, but we're gonna have our, they're gonna be waiting for us.
Yeah, no doubt. So they, I agree with you completely. We are built more like a Big Ten team, very physical, and I think we showed that again against USC. And we had a couple of oopses this year during our regular season, and we were a little banged up for some of those.
Right.
Not excuses, but I agree with you. I think that we are definitely built more and play more like a Big Ten team than either UCLA or USC. So let me give you a couple of bits of info. Let's talk about. I was thinking we'd talk about our offense against their defense first, but let's switch that. Let's go with their offense. They've got a quarterback, Sean Clifford, who has started all 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
He set a bunch of meaningful records, passing yards and I think touchdowns and a few other. I think he has the highest completion percentage and that kind of thing. And their top two running backs are both freshmen.
Mm.
And so you've got the one guy has, let me see. So Nicholas Singleton, I don't have it written down here, but he's got like 900 and something yards on the season. And the other one is Katron Allen, and he's got 800 and something yards. So kind of a dynamic duo running back. You got Clifford, who's probably more of a game manager than a great quarterback. You've got, he's thrown for 2,543 yards, which is 211 yards per game. And his completion percentage is 63.6%, which, if I remember correctly, that's above his overall career completion percentage. So what do you, and none of the receivers have eye-popping numbers. Like Parker Washington is their main receiver, and he has 46 catches for like 600 and some odd yards, 650, give or take.
Right.
So their offense, seems on the face of it very similar to ours.
Right.
With numbers like that, because they don't have a receiver that's got 1,500 yards receiving, like
right,
find on an Alabama or something. So what do you think about going up against an offense like that with our defense and the way we're playing now? Are we going to be able to stop those two, dynamic freshman running backs? Or
yeah, I think we'll be able to. I think that's one thing that Coach Scally does a great job of, is scheming. He knows the team's strengths, and he's going to figure out how can we stop those with different type of stunts, fronts, coverage behind it, confuse the quarterback, right? So he's going to figure out, okay, how can we make them throw, right? Something they're probably not used to. Both their running backs almost got 1,000 yards this year, and so they're probably leaning heavily on those two individuals. So he's probably going to try to, make them throw the ball. And with our guys on the outside, whether Clark Phillips play or not, with those guys on the outside, I feel like we're confident enough that they can get the job done. So that's what we're gonna do. Stop the run game, force them to pass, and he averages about 200 some yards per game. He's probably throwing around 20, 25 times. So if we make him throw, more than he's used to doing, you never know what can happen. But he may, have more turnovers because he's trying to do it too much and pressure's coming at him. And so it's going to be intriguing to watch and see what happens. And he's going to have to rely on those receivers. I know the top receivers from Texas out here in Houston, Texas, and the other one, he has around 500, 600 yards too. So they got two receivers that, they can do something with, but now it's just going to see, okay, how can our guys on the outside match up with them, if Clark Phillips don't play, but, Vaughn and Broughton, are well seasoned to be able to handle them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And we've got a great, slot corner combination, in terms of Vaki and Bishop. Both of them played some slot, some nickelback, covering the slot. And not only, and I think they're kind of interchangeable. I think, when one plays the nickelback, the other one's back at safety, and they're both, I think dynamic athletes. So I think we're going to do well myself. You got a guy like Clifford, who's started all 4 years. You think we're going to be able to rattle him at all with maybe either just the front four or various blitz packages or anything else?
Yeah, we're going to have to make him get uncomfortable back there, make him run around a little bit more, do some things that are more riskier for him. You seen when we was doing at USC, we're applying some pressure. He had to get outside the pocket, find some open lanes, and run it down. So I don't think he has the athleticism as a Caleb Williams or the magicianness of Caleb Williams to do what he does. But we're going to have to rattle him, put some pressure in his face, see what he does under duress, and throw that ball up there and see what our DBs can do to make plays in the air.
Yeah, so, it'd be fun to see our DBs make some plays. Like, I'd love to see Zamiah Vaughn get an interception. Interception, but he's made some great coverage plays.
Yes.
And I think the same thing with Vaki. And ironically enough, I was looking at the turnover stats. Both teams have created 24 turnovers, and both teams have recovered 12 fumbles and intercepted the ball 12 times. Almost like a clone of each other.
Yeah, identical, man.
To that. But so what do you think? Give me a couple of quick thoughts in terms of your keys for our defense and who you might think, who's going to be the player or two, possibly three, that stand out this game and have maybe if not the game of their career, the game of the season that helps, make Utah's defense do what they need to do to win this game?
Yeah, for us, we're just going to have to win the turnover battle, get some forced fumbles, strip sacks, whether it's an interception or not. And I believe a key player has to come from one from each level, one from the secondary, one from the linebacker position, and one from up front. If we do that, we're going to have a solid game, like we did in against USC. Basically, a player from each position, was a standout. You had guys in the backfield manning it down. You had in the middle, stuff in the run, while the defensive line created those lanes for them to sack through, and even the guys getting the rush. So I think the key players, it's just gonna have to be one from somebody from each level to contribute in a way that it's an impactful game, because that's gonna be the key for the defenses. Creating turnovers so that we can win that turnover battle.
Yeah, excellent points, and I think. And maybe this is my fandom in me coming out, but I do think that we have enough awesome players at each of those levels that
we do.
That at least one player at each level could do that, and possibly multiple players. And
for sure.
So let's hope that happens. I've got confidence that it will. I'm like you. I'm confident in Scally that he'll have a great game plan, and I think that our defense is not going to be the cause of us losing. Let's hope not, anyway.
Right.
And I'm not saying we're going to lose, but I think our defense will be up to the task. But
right.
I also think our offense is going to be up to the task, and we'll talk about that on part 2 of this Rose Bowl discussion. So y'all come back and watch part 2 and see what Kenneth's thoughts are with regard to how our offense is going to dominate Penn State's defense. And maybe he won't think they're going to dominate them, but I'm saying they will. So come on back for part 2, and we'll see you on the other side.